already. So we are doing attempt number 2 at the leg warmers. Why is this attempt number 2? Well, when I was doing my math at the start of this project, I measured the length and I measured the width of the previous one, and I made an assumption about a certain number of stitches added that would be sufficient for it to be big enough. I finished one leg warmer. Here it is. Got the squash and the squares and the leaf, and had my son attempt to try it on, and it will not go over his legs. So those are now, or that is now an arm warmer. I will eventually make a pair for it, potentially either that or I'll turn it into a very strange cylindrical pillow, but I'll figure out something to do with it. But I am attempting anew, so I am adding, I had added, I believe it was, how much was it actually? Let's try to be specific here. So the original had been, come on you, some math. So the original had been, this is not the right page, neither is that. There it is. So the initial one had been 39 cast on, which works up to be 38 because you use one of those stitches to connect the round. So that was 38, and I only, that was the problem. I only did 40 as my number, so there was a 41 cast on, and it did not work. So now I've got a 48 cast on, which will make things a little bit easier in the color work department, because then I can use a 24 repeat motif. But this should actually fit now. This basically adds 2 full inches to the diameter of the project, which will be enough, because the other one was just a little bit too small. It kind of made it halfway up his leg, so. I guess before I turn on the music and then we just knit quietly for a while, I will explain this weird dot on my finger. This is a leather thimble. So it's a piece of leather, decent thickness, that has some just reusable adhesive on the back, and you stick it to your finger. I think the intended purpose is for if you're doing needlework and like pushing the back of a needle with it, because I have partially shredded skin on the pad of my finger from doing things like that. But I also have a bad habit of, as you can see, every now and then pushing the tip of my knitting needle with my finger. It is a bad habit. It would probably be best for me if I stopped doing that altogether, but in the meantime, this protects me from doing damage to myself, and it does bring awareness to what I'm doing with my finger in regard to the knitting. So hopefully that will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And then I will still use it for its intended purpose with needlework stuff. I also took the opportunity to go up in needle size. This does mean that when you see me working on the colorwork section, I will be working with a set of bamboo needles, because I had bought these along with the other one as a set of, I think it came as a set of 10 different sizes, but they only go up to 6.5, and I should be using either a 7 or an 8 for the colorwork section because of the amount of yarn that I'm working with. So my other set of double pointed is a bamboo set, but that one does go up to the higher numbers, so that is what I will be using when I get to that section. So I am once again going to be making this about a 3-inch ribbed cuff. This is working color work. You usually work from the bottom going up. There are some, if you're working from a circular yoke going down, there are some colorwork sweaters that are worked top down, but most colorwork patterns are designed to be knit from the bottom up. All of the patterns I will be using in this piece are from the Doodle Knit or Doodle Stitch Knit Dictionary. I'll finish this bit of row and then we'll put some music on so we'll listen to something other than just the fan. Come here, darling. There we go. Get some tea while I'm at it. Oh, I should show you my teacup. No, mug. It's enormous, but... We've got a bit of a head cold going through our house because, well, kids are back in school and school are basically walking petri dishes, so I'm having an elderberry herbal tea with some lemon and orange and excessive quantities of honey. Yep, there he goes. Okay. Alright, where did he go? There it is. There we go. Don't get up, Fluffy. No need to get up. What a ball of fur. Anyway. It's a bit of both a blessing and a curse when you're working with metal needles and you happen to drop them, because the sound tells you exactly where it fell. It's also a very horrible clattering noise, but it is what it is. The simpler solution is just to not drop them. that is the other advantage, though, of a wooden or bamboo needle. They do tend to grip the yarn a little bit more. And depending on what kind of yarn you're working with, that can work either for or against you. For something quite slippery like a bamboo or a silk yarn, that can actually come quite in handy. But with something like, say, certain kinds of cotton and certain kinds of wool can kind of grip even on a metal needle. So those ones, if you've got a wooden needle, they will grip it a lot if your tension is not matching perfectly to your needle size to gauge that you're trying to get. Of course, I also just have very high tension, so bear that in mind if you're watching me do this kind of stuff. At ease the floof, nothing exciting is happening. Your other human just went upstairs. Yeah, nobody thinks you're awake. You are clearly sleepy. There he goes. Old man. If you were curious, I'm not actually doing this by counting, I'm doing it by what the stitches look like. So these ones are knit stitches. Purl stitches look like little bars. So as I come to a knit stitch, I'm working a knit into it. And if I come to a purl stitch, I'm working a purl into it. If I was doing, oh, which is it? I believe it's a seed stitch pattern, which is where you alternate. So you would be putting a purl on top of the knit and then a knit on top of the purl and then back and forth. It gives you a interesting textured look. When you're doing them in stacked rows like this is ribbing. Or specifically, this is a 1 by 1 rib, because you've got knit 1, purl 1. And that causes it to fold in on itself, so you have a nice hugging effect. Ribbing is most commonly used for cuffs, necklines, tops of socks, anywhere where you basically want it to fit a little tighter. Bottoms of sweaters, if you like them to fit like that. I usually don't, so I very rarely apply ribbing to the bottom of sweaters that are intended for me. I will put it on for sweaters that are for other people. I have seen some projects where the whole thing is worked in rib. It's not my favorite stitch, so personally I kind of avoid those. I had one project that was supposed to be that, and I have transitioned it to being just stockinette, so it's all knit on the one side. It does give you a more, like especially if you wanted to have a tighter fitting sweater or just a more fitted sweater, it will be more accommodating toward being fitted without having to do a whole lot of inherent shaping with the garment and your counts and such, and reductions and additions and such. You'll also note that I have transitioned to using all 5 of the set of double pointed needles. I was only using 4 of them previously. But with having 4 needles and working 48 stitches, it means I can put 12 stitches on them even, with them just being slightly offset. So I have 12 on here, 10 from the previous row, and then 2 from the new. Just because I don't like having the join in at the starter end of a needle. I'd prefer to have it more in the middle. Unless I'm doing toe-up socks. I have a pair of toe-up socks that started, actually. I really should pull that out and work on it at some point. But the yarn that is making that one up is not part of the slated for destashing yarn, so it is unlikely to happen for now. I should do another start to finish amigurumi toy. I should do one of these. I'm horribly distracted tonight, I do apologize. But I got this recently. And I bet you I could crank one of these out decently quickly. Anyway, I think they look very cute. But I should do another start to finish crochet one. I'm also thinking of doing a series of basic crochet coasters. So I'll just pick a crochet stitch and basically work a 3" by 3" or so swatch of it. Finish the edges nicely, and then it serves as both a tutorial about the stitch. You get to see what it looks like. If it's something that has, if it's something that's very basic that has a chart, then I would consider just for purposes of demonstrating the reading of a chart. Personally, I don't find chart reading to be all that cumbersome. I know kind of from online that a lot of people have some trouble with charts, and maybe it's due to my background with the oldest of the crafts that I've done being cross stitch, latch hooking, even certain kinds of painting things that I've done where you're working from a chart. So kind of using charts is just kind of mostly second nature to me. I don't know how much of a contributing factor that is. It would be kind of an interesting thing maybe one day if I build up a following of crafters, which I don't know if I will or not. We'll have to wait and see. That is not under my control. See if there's any overlap in people's ease of using charts and their experience with them in other capacities. There you go. There we go. Alright, I think I'll leave the video off here. Just put this guy on here so my row marker doesn't move. Then I need to measure this.